Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in. We're super excited. Today we have the Talaria MX5 Pro, and we're going to go over the specs and then take it for our first ride impressions. But guys, we're super excited for this bike. We've had every single Talaria Sting in the past, and this thing is a huge bump over the previous versions. And guys, you can get this bike for an insanely good price from lunacycle.com. That's the only site that you should be buying this bike from, for $4,700. It's insane for what you get with the specs of this bike. All right, so let's get into it and jump into the specs. So like we said, $4,700 is an insanely low price, especially since the MX4 with lesser specs was $4,500. This bike weighs 165 pounds, so definitely not the lightest. But guys, this thing is quality made. The frame is super robust. Definitely keeps us safe on the road, especially going the top speed of about 60 miles per hour. Guys, this is absolutely insane. 60 miles per hour is the top speed of the Talaria MX5 Pro. Now, as far as the battery goes, you get a 72 volt. Yes, that's correct. A 72 volt, 40 amp hour battery. And that should give you up to 40 miles of range, going about 25 miles per hour. So pretty awesome that you get 72 volt system on here. Lots of power, and you get really high quality Samsung cells in there. Now, they had a little mix up at first when this bike first came out, and they actually shipped a battery that wasn't supposed to come with this bike from a different supplier. Lunacycle was super fantastic as far as correcting that problem. They actually recalled the bikes that were sent with the bad battery. And for the inconvenience for the customers, they actually gave you a bunch of accessories. And we're going to show you real quick what they gave you. So they give you the riser bars, which is super nice. We always buy their riser bars for our Talaria Stings. They gave you a supply drop, a bunch of cool accessories here. This is the dashboard bracket. I believe this relocates, or actually this is protection for your display. They also gave you some gear oil for the gearbox, which is a really nice upgrade from all the other bikes with the belts. You get a gearbox on this thing. They give you a bunch of nice candy, which we love, and also some stickers to rock. Really cool. We're loving the candy. And also, another awesome accessory they provided for the inconvenience was their float seat. With the Luna badging on here, we'll unbox these to show you guys what they're all about in future videos. But guys, really awesome of them to give those to their customers for free for the inconvenience of waiting, I think maybe another couple days to a week for the new bike with the new battery from the right supplier. So they definitely did right by their customers. So that's why we always encourage people to buy from lunacycle.com. All right, so we're gonna pop the lid. And guys, check this out. They made a custom lid for this bike that actually comes off. So instead of having to lift this thing all the way and fight with the battery to come out, they made this custom lid to fit this bigger battery as well. So really neat. And that battery rattle that you used to have on the MX4 is gone. As you can see, there's an adjustment here. So you can adjust it so it pushes down on the top of the battery to make sure that doesn't go anywhere. They also have a bunch of padding here to make sure that this battery just doesn't move at all. They do a really good job with this. We haven't had our battery shake or rattle at all. So really nice. You have a one connection here that Talaria does very well. And also, if you notice, there is no breaker on this bike. So that is very interesting. No breaker, you don't have to worry about turning it on and off to connect this battery to ride. You also get your reader here to tell you how full your battery is for a charge. And also you can charge right in the bike or take the battery off with this connector here. And you also have a cover here to make sure nothing gets in there. But guys, really nice as far as the improvement with the battery and the battery lid. And then basically just to put this back on, super easy, slide that into place and then clip that in. So we're loving that. Now, one more thing you do get is a 15 amp heavy duty charger. This thing is absolutely insane. And it will charge your battery from 0 to 100 So empty to full in just 3 hours. So guys, fantastic charger that comes with the bike to get you back on the road, back on the trails, riding in 3 hours or less. So that was a welcome surprise with this bike. Usually these bikes, especially with bigger batteries, take longer to charge. So the fact that they're giving you a 15 amp charger that charges super quickly, really positive. All right, now as far as the motor that powers this bike, this is an IPM motor, really efficient. It actually dissipates heat really quickly. So really nice to see. It's 95% efficient, I believe is their numbers. But guys, really nice to see an IPM on the MX5 Pro. Now this does have a gearbox, which you do have to change the oil once at around like 300, 400 miles. But guys, after that, you don't have to do it for a long time. Everything is in the manual for you as far as the instructions go and the numbers exactly. But really easy to do. You just got to take this bracket off here. And then there is the drainage, a plug here, and you just drain the oil, put the oil back in, and actually it's much improved over the belt-driven systems. You don't have to worry about your belt snapping. You can also refer to the manual and they'll tell you exactly what you need to put in here. Or you can ask in the groups. There's tons of Talaria groups, Regen groups, and things like that for electric dirt bikes that will tell you exactly what you need to put in here. But guys, this is a huge improvement over the belt-driven systems that most, if not all, of the other bikes have. And this is a sealed gearbox, guys. You don't have to worry about stuff getting in there. And also changing the belt is really difficult to do. You never want to have to do that. So just keep that in mind when you're searching for your next electric dirt bike. Don't let the oil changes intimidate you, because guys, they're super easy to do. If I can do them, you can definitely do them. Now, as far as the controller that drives this bike, this is a 13.5 kilowatt controller. You get a ton of power, ton of torque. Just watch out. We've seen a lot of people that claim to have ridden motocross and things like that, including our friend. They get on one of these bikes and they loop it because they just aren't expecting the sort of power and torque that these bikes give out. Instant torque, instant power. So just keep that in mind, guys. These things are not toys. Especially if you unlock it. We do have that process on our channel if you want to watch that video to unlock your bike. Now, as far as the frame goes, this is a really heavy-duty enforced frame, especially over the competitors. We've seen a lot of competitor bikes snap at the frame, especially the power that they're sending out with their bikes now. And they're just pumping power into these bikes without reinforcing the frame to make sure they're safe and can support that power. When Talaria releases these bikes, they make sure that the frame can handle the power and the torque that they're putting out. So guys, keep that in mind as well. The quality is so much better than the competitors. Ask us how we know. We have a bunch of people that we ride with that have other competitor bikes, and they get on the MX5 Pro and they see what a fantastic and well-built bike this is compared to their bike. So just keep that in mind when we talk about build quality and things to that matter with the Talaria MX5 Pro, or any Talaria for that matter. We really mean it. These bikes are really well made. Now, as far as the seat goes, it's much improved over the last versions, and this thing is super soft. You definitely don't get sore while out riding the trails and things of that matter. Now, Luna does offer their float seat, which we do recommend. Fantastic seat. They offered it for all their bikes in the past, including the MX5 Pro. We do recommend going to get it. It's on the inexpensive side compared to other people that sell seats for the Talaria MX5 Pro. So guys, check that out on lunacycle.com. You do get a wider tire on the rear. I think this is a 90 tire. Now, as far as the brakes go on this bike, these are fantastic. These are 4-piston brakes. Now, these rotors are 220 millimeter rotors. Guys, these do a fantastic job of stopping the bike. When we tell you Talaria takes safety seriously, you want to make sure when you're going 60 miles an hour on this bike, you can stop when you need to. And these do a fantastic job. Everybody in the electric dirt bike industry will admit that these are the best brakes out there. So keep that in mind. As far as the swing arm, this is reinforced, much improved. Like we said, for the power and torque, when they released this bike, they wanted to make sure that this thing was tough enough to handle it. This is Talaria engineered suspension, does a really fantastic job with this bike, and we have no complaints with it, to be honest. The linkage is phenomenal. You don't really have to replace it like you did with the past models. Everything on this bike they did a fantastic job with. You get the same rear fender here, and you do get a rear tail light. This does not work with your brakes, so it's not brake light, but at least you have a light in the back. We're actually going to bring our bike to Spark Cycle Works and have them install a light kit on here with the signals, the turn signals, and the working brake light. So stay tuned for future videos regarding that. But this thing is basically going to be street legal. You do get a 42 tooth sprocket in the back. You can replace that if you want more torque or higher top speed. Now this is a 428 chain. The MX4 had a 420. This is about twice as strong and durable as the 420. So keep that in mind. This thing will not break on you. This is very heavy duty. Now they also included some upgraded foot pegs. And guys, these are a major improvement from the last ones with the MX4. And also you do get this brace here, so that's nice to see. There is the IPM motor. Now they do give you a set of keys to open your battery compartment and also for your ignition, which we'll show you in a second. There is your Sting controller, very nice. Now as far as the front suspension goes, these are also Talaria engineered front forks, and they do a fantastic job. With our MX4, we also had the Talaria factory forks, and they were phenomenal over anything else that was available for the bike. So really nice to see that. They do have a much improved cleanup system in the front to make sure that this thing does not go anywhere. Now here is your 80 tire in the front, a little smaller than the one in the rear, and your 220 millimeter rotor in the front. You guys, check out those 4 piston brakes. Now you do get your typical Talaria front fender here, and we're actually going to replace that with one that we'd rather have on this bike that we like a little bit better. So stay tuned for that video. You do get the same front headlight that came with previous bikes. We do wish that they sent one out with the light bars on them, because this headlight just isn't very good compared to other alternatives out there that are coming with competitor bikes. So Talaria, if you're listening, or Unicycle, if you start sending this out with the light bar, people would definitely appreciate that. So just keep that in mind. All right, so we're gonna get on the bike and show you guys the controls. So we'll put the key in the ignition. All right, so there is the light. Now, speaking of the light, the really cool thing that they included with the MX5 Pro is the fact that you have a light switch. So you can turn on and off the light as you wish. Now, before you had to buy an accessory that you had to install to be able to turn the light on and off. So, you know, obviously that wastes power. So in the daytime, when you're riding, you can at least turn your light off because you don't really need it. But they didn't come with that, so the light was always on. So it didn't waste too much power. Don't forget that light really isn't power hungry, but you're still wasting power nonetheless. So to be able to turn that on and off is a really nice feature. You get a nice horn. It's very loud to make sure that people know you're coming. The grips are fantastic on these bikes. And here is your left brake lever. And you can already feel while we're on this bike that the brakes are fantastic. Now testing them on the road, they're even better than they feel right now. Obviously you can't really tell too much from the brakes just by sitting on them, but while you're out on the trails, now on the road, feeling these brakes work is just fantastic. You do get a nice color LCD screen here. So it's saying waiting because our kickstand is down, but as soon as you put that kickstand up and you hit this little start button, I know we're skipping forward here, but you hit the start button, now it's ready. You get a couple modes on this bike. You get an eco mode, you get a sport mode, and then you get a hyper mode. The hyper mode obviously is the most powerful, and guys, it is absolutely insane in hyper mode. So there you go, you get your miles per hour, you get your percentage as far as your battery goes, and also your miles traveled, so your odometer. Now you also get your regen level here. I'm not sure if you can see that 4 there, but you can go all the way down to 1 and then all the way up to 4, which is the highest regen. Now you do get your standard handlebars here for the MX5 Pro, and we're gonna put the upgraded riser bars on our bike shortly. Now here is your right brake lever, your throttle with a nice grip. This feels fantastic. And guys, check this out. This is probably our most favorite feature. This is actually your regen throttle here. All right, so you can actually save your brakes and just use regen So you can stop the bike with this Regen throttle. And we'll show you how this works while we're out on our first riding impression. But really awesome to see this. I believe Unicycle actually worked closely with Talaria to make sure that they included this on the bike. And that's a fantastic feature to have. So thank you very much, Unicycle and Talaria, for including that on this bike. Now, as far as the Regen goes, you can only use the Regen at a certain percentage when the battery is a certain percentage drained. There's nowhere for that power to go, so it's kind of a safety feature. So once you get to a certain percentage, I forget what that is, if you want to just let me know in the comment section below if you know that number. But once it gets down to a certain percentage, that Regen throttle will work. And like we said, it's a fantastic feature. One other point we want to make is a lot of these bikes are coming with these giant screens in the middle. We don't really like those, especially for these electric dirt bikes. That's the first thing that's going to crack or break or shatter when this bike goes down. So having this little tiny screen here keeps it out of the way, especially with the handlebars here. This is going to take the brunt first instead of that screen in the middle. And also, these are pretty cheap to replace. So having that smaller screen definitely makes it less likely to break while you're on the trails, especially doing, you know, some pretty crazy riding. This screen is more than enough. And there's a lot of like info you can get on the screen. So if you hold this button here on the top, you can go into all the units and stuff and change a bunch of different settings and things like that. So, all right, so now that we went over all the specs and features of the Talaria MX5 Pro, we're going to take it out for our first riding impressions and let you guys know how this thing performs. So let's get on this bike and see what this thing can do.
All right, guys, we're on the Talaria MX5 Pro, and we're doing our first riding impressions. And right off the bat, we're going to blow it up this hill here. Man, that torque and that power is fantastic. So right off the bat, tons of torque, tons of power. You feel safe knowing that the frame has been reinforced and engineered to take that extra power and extra torque instead of the other competitors, that they're just putting out the same frames out there and just like basically doubling or tripling the power on the bikes. Totally unsafe. We're seeing a lot of frames snap on those bikes. The quality and durability on these Talaria bikes is insane. We've had every single version of the Sting since they first came out to rival the Sur-Ron bikes, and they've just been so much better than the Sur-Ron. And Sur-Ron hasn't done anything to innovate, while Talaria, every single model, they improve everything that needs to be improved on the bike and adds a lot of cool features. So brakes are fantastic. Like we said, going over some of the features, 4-piston brake with 220mm rotors, so fantastic stopping power. Your top speed test here. Just keep in mind we're at 73% battery. Alright, so we hit 50 miles per hour. Now keep in mind, it is about 1 degree out, and I am freezing. I'm also 260 pounds, so a lighter rider would get much faster top speed, especially in this cold. The cold definitely affects the battery life, but still 50 miles an hour at 70% battery is pretty damn good. You do get a light switch, which is nice. So Talarias in the past didn't come with a light switch, so the light was always on. You had no way to turn it off unless you installed your own custom light switch. So really nice that they included that, so you don't have to keep your light on in the daytime, because it really doesn't make any sense. A nice loud horn, and the suspension on this bike, this is Talaria engineered suspension. On the MS4, we had their factory fork, which is so much better than any other forks that came on the bike. They do a really good job with carrying it with the bike and making sure that it performs super well on the trails and also on the road. We did unlock this bike to go 60 miles per hour, and we do have that procedure on our channel, so if you want to check that out, I'll actually put that in the description below. You get a bunch of modes here. So like the Talarias in the past, you get an eco and a sport, and you also get a hyper mode, and that's what we're in now. So you can see the Hyper is red, and we'll go through a couple of the modes too. So if you hit your mode button, you go from Eco, Sport, and Hyper. And obviously we're going to stay in the Hyper mode. That's just full power. A really cool color display. Let's see on here. Nice and crisp. You're also seeing the levels of regen. So we're on 1 right now. And speaking of regen, they do give you a regen throttle on the right hand side here, which guys is super clutch. And you can actually control how much regen. Look at this. I mean, save your brakes, guys. Save your brakes. This is a fantastic feature, our favorite feature on the MX5 Pro. Because yeah, save your brakes. Check that out. So that regen throttle is only available in regen level 1. So if you bump it up to anything other than 1, the bike regens on its own. So we're at 4 right now, so I'm letting it go. Check out how aggressive that regen is. So depending on how you like the regen on your bike, a lot of people won't like it. Some people like it. Some people like the middle ground. And honestly, there's times that I love the regen, but I also want to be able to coast like this. Like you're coasting, the regen isn't stopping you. And then now you can stop with this regen throttle. Fantastic. Absolutely love that feature. And that's a feature we know that Unicycle worked closely with Talaria to make sure that they included that on the MX5 Pro. So kudos to Unicycle and Talaria for making that happen. Unicycle is the only place to buy these bikes. You know, you can buy it in other places, but buy it from Unicycle. They know their bikes. They're basically designing them with Talaria to make sure that all the feedback that they get from the customers is noted, and they actually work to improve upon some of the issues that the MX4 have, the MX3, things like that. So each model are improving, according to what their customers are saying and things that the customers want to see. So kudos to Unicycle and the crew over there, which is fantastic to deal with. If you ever have a problem with your bike, which we haven't had one single problem with our Talarias, but if you ever have a problem, they will take care of you and make sure that that problem gets fixed for you. I am absolutely loving the power, the torque. If you're into wheelies, which we're not into wheelies, but if you're into wheelies, this thing has no problem popping up that front wheel. Just be careful because this thing does have a lot of power, a lot of torque, so wheelies will not be an issue. Now, as far as the seat goes, the seating angle is definitely flatter this time, because on the other ones, it was more of an angle, so more towards the front, so the rear would be more raised, and it would actually push you towards the battery cover here. So that's something we love to see improved. So it's not pushing us into the battery cover. We can sit where we want to sit. We're not moving towards the front. So really nice to see that improvement. The seat is very comfortable. Luna does offer their own float seat, which we did get, but this seat is definitely more comfortable than the MX4. They definitely improved the padding in there and stuff. So you don't need the float seat. Float seat is definitely nice to have. It's definitely more comfortable than this one, but you don't need it. So just keep that in mind. Super comfortable seat. Definitely not getting sore by sitting on this for a very long time. Like we said, the foot pegs are much improved. A lot of grip with the foot pegs. Our feet are not moving on these things, which is nice. Definitely digs into the bottom of your boots, your shoes, whatever you're wearing, to make sure that you're not moving around. So now, as far as competitive bikes go, we've had them all, except the new ones that are coming out, the more powerful ones, but we'll get those in the future. But we've ridden them all. This is by far the most quality, the most durable, the best built bike out of all of them. We'll stand by that until another bike comes out that we feel is better quality, better built, and worth the money. I mean, this thing is only $4,700. I think it went up $200 from the MX4, but it's worth every single penny. I mean, smiles for miles. Now, you know, we're gonna wait until it's not as cold, but once it gets a little warmer out, we're gonna take it on the trails and stuff. Guys, we've lost a ton of footage. Actually, all of our MX5 Pro footage we lost on some of our SD cards. We tried to get it back, we sent it out to get recovered, and unfortunately we couldn't get it back. So we have a lot to make up with the MX5 Pro, and we'll get that out to you. But yeah, we have a lot to show you guys. It is definitely our favorite bike so far. And it's the only bike you take out on a regular basis. You know, all the other bikes kind of sit in our garage, and this is the bike we love to take out and ride. This is the most fun bike that we've had so far. That Regen throttle, it's game changing. Definitely did not know we needed that until we have it. Now we don't want to get rid of it. Yeah, guys, that's our first riding impressions. This thing is absolutely insane as far as torque and power goes. Super fun, super comfy, very well made. There's no quality issues with the bike. It seems like they really looked over everything from the past models and improved upon every single component that needed to be. And it's just a fantastic, best option on the market. And if you guys have any questions regarding this bike, you want to see specific videos regarding the bike, let us know in the comment section below. We get back to everybody. And if you want to see this bike go against other rivals and competitors, let us know that as well. If you're looking at a certain bike that really doesn't have too much content out there, let us know. We'll get that bike in and we'll put it against the MX5 Pro and see how it does. But you know, that's all content that we want to make for you guys. So all right, guys, so there we have it with the Talaria MX5 Pro. This thing is a fantastic, torquey, powerful, and gorgeous bike. They did a fantastic job, Unicycle and Talaria working together to make sure that this was the best version they could put out. Super high quality. As far as the other competitors go, this thing is so much better quality, better made, durable. The other ones have a lot of problems. We've ridden them all, and this is our favorite electric dirt bike at the moment. And there's bigger versions, there's more powerful versions, but honestly, we think that this is the sweet spot. Easy to get around town, not really be bothered by police, by law enforcement. This is kind of on the edge of the gray area to kind of scoot around. So this is what comes out of the box. They do offer decals that are in the box, so if you want to put those on, they look pretty sweet. We like the all black look. We think it looks fantastic. And guys, we have more videos coming. If you guys have more ideas, more videos you want to see with this bike, other competitors you want to compare it to, we'll get those in and we'll put this thing head to head against the competitors that you want to see and see how this stacks up to it. But guys, fantastic bike. Really cannot complain about anything with the MX5 Pro. If you like the content, please hit the thumbs up button. Also subscribe to the channel and also ring that notification bell for future notifications of our videos. But guys, until next time, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you. Peace out.